Daniel Ricciardo's F1 career is going through a very tough time, and he currently doesn't have a seat for the 2023 season, even though he was thought to be in the Alpine seat after what happened in the Piastri saga. It's now over for the 8-time race winner, as the Instone-based team signed Gasly, another driver, to work with Ocon. Now it has come out that Alpine hasn't really considered Ricciardo for a number of reasons. With that in mind, why did Alpine refuse to sign Ricciardo? Is it a good idea for Ricciardo to skip the next season? Before we get into the details of this, make sure to hit the subscribe button, like our video, and hit the bell notification. Daniel Ricciardo has 2 hard seasons in McLaren, and it's clear that these 2 years did a lot of damage to his reputation as well as his self-confidence. But during the silly season talk, many people hoped that Ricciardo would not only stay in F1, but also race for a team that could help him get good finishes, like Renault did in 2020. Ricciardo was the first driver in a long time to get some podium finishes in Renault, and many people thought that a reunion would be the perfect thing to happen. However, Alpine decided that Gasly is the best driver to replace Alonso in the Alpine's empty seat. Once the team realized that they had lost both Alonso and Piastri in a matter of days, the Enstone-based team had to make a hard choice because they showed that they are currently the best of the rest in the race with McLaren. Zafna said at first that there are more than 14 drivers who are interested in the Alpine seat, but a team was very interested in signing Piastri, even though the Oz had denied the seat after the CRB or the Contract Recognition Board ruled in favor of Piastri. McLaren Alpine went after Gasly and other drivers. Now that the race will replace Gasly and AlphaTauri, it became clear that Alpine would rather work on the relationship between Gasly and Ocon than bring in Ricciardo, who has already shown that he knows how to drive the Alpine car and has finished P5 with them at the 2020 season. Even Christian Horner doesn't know why Alpine didn't think of Ricciardo as the main candidate to replace Alonso in the open seat, since he has shown he knows how to drive the car and has gotten good results for them. When asked about the future of the Australians, Horner said, "To be honest with you, I think I would probably go with Ricciardo. They know him for a couple of seasons ago, and he was very together in his last season there, scoring podiums, and I think he's the kind of guy that I think you could rebuild him." He hasn't had a great time at McLaren for whatever reason, but just think back to some of the drives he did for us, some of the wins he had, the podiums he stood on, and the amazing passes he was capable of are still there. We are sure he just needs a little bit of a reset. You don't just forget how to deliver. So, we wish for him he gets another chance and gets himself back on the grid for the next year. In this situation, the Aussie has not only lost the chance to drive for a top-performing team, but he has also lost the chance to drive in F1 for a back-market team like Haas or Williams. Ricciardo talked about his future, saying he doesn't want to join an F1 team just for the sake of it, and wants to think about all of his options carefully. Well, it looks like his choices have been narrowed down to being a reserve driver in 2023 and hoping for an open seat in 2024. Recently, Atmos of Noah said, "Well, Ricciardo is thought to be the best candidate to fill Alpine's position. In the beginning, we talked about it with a few drivers, including Daniel. Pierre fits the criteria perfectly. He knows what it's like to be fast and young. So when it became clear that Pierre was a possibility, we cut down our list even more." Alpine has done the rest for 3 drivers, including Giovinazzi, De Vries, and Roaring in Hunger, but the tests were just a formality, and it was always clear that the team based in Stone would go after someone like Gasly. Now that he's free from the AlphaTauri, Alpine has officially signed him, and Zef Noah talked about the tests the team has given to the 3 drivers. Well, those are tests that are planned a long time before they actually happen. It wasn't quite clear about Pierre, even though he was on our short list, but he was still contracted. So, we sent the 3 drivers to Budapest to test their skills, and they all did a great job. We most definitely learned from it. Now the question has to be asked, are Alpine in the right when it comes to signing Gasly ahead of Ricciardo? Gasly is younger, and he has shown over the past 2 seasons in AlphaTauri that he can drive a car that doesn't do as well, but Ricardo has shown that he knows how to drive the Renault car because he won the P5 spot with Renault back in 2020. Ricardo is 33 years old, but he is a long way from retiring. True, he is way past his best, but we've seen that Alonso can drive at 40 without any trouble because he's been doing it in Alpine's car. For starters, Alpine would have a hard time getting Gasly and Ocon to be friends, since we all know that the two Frenchmen aren't the best of friends because they had a fight when they were karting. But the fact that a French company has an all-French lineup is something that can't be ignored, and even Zef Noah said that Gasly's nationality was a bonus. It's possible that Alpine doubles that Ricardo could ever be the same Ricardo that we saw in Renault in 2020. Ricardo's 2 years at McLaren left a huge black mark on his reputation. This could be the main reason why even the black market teams like Haas and Williams don't see him as the best candidate for the spot. Also, it's the fact that Renault's boss, Luca De Maio, was totally against rehiring the man who quit the Works team just 2 years ago, because he was hired at a great cost. Now, fate has come back to bite Ricardo, and what turned out to be his loss is definitely going to be Gasly's gain. The Frenchman has always said that he is looking forward to showing what he can do on a top-performing team. What's next for Ricardo? Obviously, he knows that he probably won't be on the grid the next season, and he told Perez that during the drivers' parade at the Dutch GP, Ricardo did plan to skip the 2023 session, sign on as a reserve driver for a top team like Mercedes, and then win a seat for the 2024 season. But are there any teams that can give Ricardo a seat for the 2024 season? Perez's contract ends in 2024, but it's unlikely that Ricardo will be considered as a replacement if the Australian team is willing to let go of the Mexican, as they signed up the rise in AlphaTauri and have Tsunoda as a young driver who is ready to show what he can do. McLaren is a team that can't give him a seat because they already have the youngest pair of drivers on the grid. The same could be said for Alpine, and the fact that Aston Martin gave Alonso a 3-year contract and a Stroll is literally the son of the owner. These teams are almost out of reach for Ricardo. It is still up to him to choose between Williams and Haas. But if he wants to drive for these teams in 2024, he could very well think about signing with them in 2023. Alfa Romeo is the only team that won't be in F1 after 2024. Sauber, which will be majority owned by Audi, might be able to offer Ricardo a seat, and he could race with Bottas. Even so, Ricciardo's future doesn't look very good, and he could very well be on his way out of the sport. It's sad enough that he can't fight for wins and podiums in a team like Red Bull, and it's very unlikely that we won't see the Honey Badger again before the end of the season. What do you think is up next for Ricardo? Do you think that Alpine did the wrong thing by not giving him a starting seat after 2023? Let us know in the comments. If you like our video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our new uploads. In the end, thanks for watching, and see you next time.